All right, welcome to Building Relationships Through Better Conversations. Apologize, this is the way we have to do it, but it's the circumstances that we've been given, so we'll do it this way. Building Relationships Through Better Conversations. I'm Brandon Ramo. I am the Assistant Director of the Minnesota River Valley Ed District, and we're going to get into how do we have better conversations and why are we even talking about it. Here today we'll do a variety of activities as well as show some videos to kind of get the point across. And so as we look at some of the things that we want to do today, we're going to look at, I understand the 6 beliefs of having a better conversation. I can apply those 6 beliefs to my conversations, and I can apply the 6 beliefs to my life as well. So not only will this be helpful in your professional life, but it can also be helpful in your personal life. And so the resource for this presentation comes from Better Conversations by Jim Knight. Jim Knight is a guru of instructional coaching, and so he uses this in a model of, how do we really help people get better? How do we have deeper, richer conversations? How do we respect one another? Things like that. And so you'll see those beliefs as we go through. So a great resource. I actually highly recommend it for not only, again, your professional life, but your personal life as well. It's something that I use every day, whether or not I know it or not, but I still use it in conversation with everybody else. And so we start with, then why are we talking about this? Why is this a topic? Why are we even have this as a session? And so you think about conversation. Conversation is really the linchpin of helping people, of what we do. It's really at the heart of just communicating with people. And so one of the reasons why, how can we help you, A, communicate better with a teacher, B, communicate better with students, and communicate better with everyone in your life. And so I think that this is a very valuable topic that we can get some things out of. And so first we're going to start by watching a famous skit here. The skit by Abbott and Costello on Who's on First. And what I want you to watch for is just watch the elements of the conversation as you go through. Watch how one is trying to explain something, one doesn't get something, and think about it in your own life as well, as to, are there times where this has happened to me where either I've been the person listening and I don't understand, or I've been the person talking and the person listening is not understanding. And so really, how do we help not get in those situations? So you can pause this video and you can start playing Who's on First. It's about a 5-6 minute video, so pause this video, watch the video, and the Who's on First video, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so as you watch the video there on Who's on First, what were some things that really stood out to you? What were some things that caused them confusion? Anything that struck you there? So turn and talk to your neighbor. You can pause this video again, and then turn and talk to your neighbor about those things. All right, so hopefully you got a good conversation over the comical video of Who's on First, and looking at conversation, looking at providing examples of maybe a time where you were one of each of those 2 people in the conversation. And so we'll refer back to that Who's on First here a few times as we go through the presentation here. And so we'll get started here into the conversations. And so I look at this great quote, Chinese proverb actually, a single conversation with a wise man is better than 10 years of study. And so really looking at, you can get a lot out of a conversation especially by following the 6 beliefs here that Jim Knight has put forward. So with that mindset there, we'll move forward. And so it really is again, the heart of everything we do. It helps us create relationships. It helps break relationships, conversation, the words we use, how we approach, the tone we use, things like that. It's also a way that we can get results, positive or negative results. Are, again, using the words we say, how we approach, our mindset, how we come into a conversation, how we treat people, how we see people, is going to be dependent upon, are those results positive or are they negative? And many times we can attribute some of those aspects to, why was it negative? Well, maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I showed them how to do it the wrong way. Maybe my mindset wasn't the right. Maybe their mindset wasn't the right way. And positive on the flip side of that as well. You can get positive results if some of those aspects are in line. And so Jim Knight has 6 beliefs to a better conversation. And so we'll give you just a quick preview of them here real quick. So we're going to break down each one of these. I see conversation partners as equals. I want to hear what others have to say. People should have a lot of autonomy. I don't judge others. Conversation should be back and forth, and conversation should be life-giving. And so these are the 6 beliefs, according to Jim Knight, that really lead to better conversations. And so let's break down each one of these as we go forward here. Before we get into actually hitting those beliefs, just want to say, and the one thing that really needs to ring true is that anything you believe will drive your behavior. So if you don't believe these things and truly believe these things, your behavior will be reflected upon that. And how you act and how you treat people is really driven, again, by your beliefs. And so, for example, and kind of a crude example, but an example nonetheless, is that if I believe this cow is sacred, I'm going to treat it like so. My behavior will be that I will treat this cow with respect, with dignity. I won't kill it, and it'll be a sacred cow. On the other hand, if I see this cow as not sacred and I see it as food, this is what I see. And I'm going to treat it like so. So I'm going to treat it, my behavior will be to feed this animal in order to eventually consume it. And so 2 starkly different behaviors driven by beliefs. And so your beliefs will drive your behavior. And as we look at this, we'll start with our first belief. And this is something that it's number 1 for a reason. It is the belief of, I see conversation partners as equals. And so because if you don't see someone as an equal, you're considered being either one up or one down. Therefore, my ideas are better or worse. We don't get treated the same in the conversation. And so if you look at the hierarchy of a school, where you have school boards, superintendents, administrators, teachers, paras, cooks, students, whoever else in the school, and you were to place all those people on a hierarchy, there is a hierarchy within the system which is already built in and already there. And so this alone creates an issue when it comes to conversations either with peers, with people within your system, working with students as well. And so oftentimes when that hierarchy exists, there's either people resist, people don't listen, people don't take advice. And so being equals really will help get and actually seeing and actually believing others are equal to you will help get results, positive results. We talked about results a couple minutes ago. And so people don't resist ideas, they resist people. This rings so true when you sit in a faculty meeting, for example, and somebody brings up the idea of we'll use standards-based grading, for example. Now, standards-based grading, I don't think there's a lot of people that say, oh, that's a terrible idea. The idea itself is awful. A lot of times they resist the execution of that. They resist the people that are spreading that message, you could say, or that news, or they're resisting the person themselves. And again, another quote from the chapter here: people don't resist change, they resist being changed. And again, using the example of a school, we'll talk about grading practices, standards-based grading. People don't resist that change per se. They resist wanting to be changed because, oh, that's a great idea, but I can't do it because. And so they resist that change. And so as you're working with people and working with students, working with colleagues, really look for and intentionally find strengths. That's one way to draw out, and the other person perceives them as equal. So you can say, I see you're working very hard at, your handwriting is very good. Starting conversations like that by intentionally finding strengths, it empowers the other person, and really communicate those strengths to that person. And when working with people, working with kids, working with anybody, the one thing that you can do, a little tip, a little practice, I guess you could say, would be to position beside the people, the student, your peer, whoever, and not across, because across there's a barrier across from us, and can be perceived as I'm either sitting up on a higher chair, therefore I'm better than you. I'm sitting behind the desk versus in front of the desk. And so either sitting at a round table, and you don't have to sit like 2 feet from or half a foot from the person. I mean, you could make sure you have your distance, but sitting across or beside a person, not across, is so crucial into creating that equal playing field, and actually your behavior, your beliefs driving your behavior. When we talk about eye contact, this is a tough one for some people, that you want to make eye contact at least 60% of the time. And it's really interesting. They've done studies on this, where how do people feel when somebody is staring at them while they're talking to them 100% of the time, or too little. And so as you see that here, that too much eye contact could mean you're dominating. You're trying to dominate that person. Too little will show that you're either insincere or weak. And so the studies here will say that about 60% of the time you should be making eye contact. So that doesn't mean you have to, again, stare at the person, but it should be, in a 10-minute conversation, you should at least be looking at them for 6-7 minutes roughly in that conversation, if not a little bit more. And this one will come up over and over and over and over again, is that we need to, if we're going to truly treat people as equals, we need to listen to what they have to say. So crucial, and about every one of these beliefs, this will come up, that we listen to what they have to say. Listen to your students, listen to your peers, and it really comes down to, and we'll talk about it at the next one, is we need to listen with empathy, not sympathy. And so truly listen. And so the person playing this video we can pause the video here and play the Talking Babies video, and we'll talk about it when we come back. All right, so you got a chance to watch the Talking Babies video. It's kind of funny. You just wonder what's going through their head, and are they treating others as equals? And so as you reflect here for a couple minutes and you're going to turn and talk to your partner, have you ever been in a conversation where status was apparent? How did that make